Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the best podcast on YouTube for sports, football, and all that good stuff. That is the Benchwire Podcast. We are back. I'm once again joined by my best co-host, Justin. How's it going, man?
Ooh, best co-host, man. That's
Best
awesome.
co-host.
I'm doing well. I had a good weekend. I don't know. Are you okay? I wasn't know
Am
if you were going to
I
show
okay?
up this week. I'm going to
I
take a
don't know.
flyer.
I'll let you start off
I,
this topic here. Our first topic. What are we talking about today, Justin? I want to
yeah,
know.
yeah. So I thought I was going to have to do bench wire myself this week, but gotta give you credit. You showed up,
Of
and yeah, let's
course.
get right into it. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. The Philadelphia Eagles, my Philadelphia Eagles, with Saquon Barkley and the crew.
Oh, Saquon.
Drive up I-95. We get off MetLife Stadium, baby, in New York, home where Saquon Barkley once played, where he ran his heart out, man, behind a shitty O line, gave it all for his organization. He came back. He didn't call a revenge game all week, but man, he played like it. That's for sure. The Giants fans were burning his jersey. He saw it come in, and he's like, all right, I see. It just added more fuel to the fire for him. But I'll get back more into him in a second. Um, I'm going to give you the floor later. I guess I'll just knock out like the positives. So the Eagles ended up winning 28-3.
Yeah,
Just a
it's
couple
good for
takeaways
you.
from the Birds. The one thing that's a concern is the first quarter we suck. We suck in the first quarter. The first quarter should be where you script your plays, you know what you're going to call. It normally works most of the time, but for us, for some reason, we can't game plan, and we're better ad libbing and just calling on the fly. Our offense all of a sudden gets a little bit better, which is really, really weird. I don't understand that at all. But yeah, I gotta give the defense a lot of credit too. Vic Fangio, he called a nice game. They brought a lot of pressures on Daniel Jones. Like Nakobe Dean had like 11 tackles, 2 TFLs, and 2 sacks. He showed up. He played well. Jalen Carter showed up, also played well. And even the Giants allowed Nolan Smith and Bryce Huff to finally show up. It was amazing. I loved seeing that there too. And yeah, they held the Giants to 3 points. I get it. It's the Giants, their offense is questionable. It's not the best, but
It's
it's not
putrid.
it's not the win that I'm happy about. It's just when you coming off that Cleveland game, the effort wasn't there, and there's a lot that happened, and the Browns were in that game. And this one, I don't know if it was because they wanted to win it for Saquon, first game back. They play with a lot more effort. They play harder, and that's a good building block there for sure. And yeah, I was happy with that. And yeah, I got to talk about Saquon. What was it? He averaged like 10 yards per carry, 176 yards.
Something crazy.
Nuts.
He's
Nuts.
pretty
A
good.
touchdown. Yeah, he had a couple really nice runs. They even brought in a fullback, Ben Van Sumeren, who's more of a linebacker. They brought in the fullback, created some nice lanes for Saquon to run in.
I
Yeah,
do remember that. Yeah.
he's been a nice addition, man. He's been good. He's a team player, man. It's been great to see him there. Great to have him, and yeah, just listening to him talk and like the whole clip of him saying,
Him and
"Yeah, I'm
Sirianni.
13 yards away, but let the other guys play."
Yeah.
Just a team
He's
player.
special.
Yeah, special guy. I'm happy to have him on my team.
I do miss him.
It's a guy that you can buy a jersey and he'll give it his all, and it's like a good return on
Mhm.
your investment as a fan. And yeah, he's just a
It
special guy.
was.
It's just a guy who won in the building, and with each passing week, especially this one, it just makes it look worse for Joe Shane. I feel like it just looks really, really bad for the Giants there. But I'll let you get into that. But yeah, good
Yeah.
game. Hurts Hurts only threw 14 times, 10 of 14, and
That's all I
114
needed to do.
and they still blow you guys out. I mean,
Yeah. It's depressing.
uh,
It
yeah, but
is.
I'll turn it over to you. That's basically all I have in a nutshell.
Yeah, so the Giants suck. They're not going anywhere this year. They're going to finish last in the division. You were right.
Mhm.
I'm gonna give you a round of applause. But yeah, they're awful. Offense without Andrew Thomas looked awful. Daniel Jones, it's time to move on. he's holding us back. And keep saying every week he'll have some flashes where he can manage some games. Defense plays well, maybe we can win it out. But I just think Daniel Jones, it's time to move on. He's not the guy. And, Joe Schoen, he did something right with that contract. We don't have to pay him after this year because the first 2 years guaranteed were in the first 2 years of the contract. So there's a loophole out of that contract. So that's one thing Joe Schoen did right. But, yeah, Malik Neighbors, he was open a lot of plays. And, yeah, you heard it from him first. He was like, I was open. You could watch the tape. And, yeah, I saw plenty of clips online. He was open. But Daniel Jones he has a hard time reading defenses. And for him being in his 6th year in the NFL, like how? Like that's rookie mistakes. And this guy, he's a hard worker and I respect him. Wish him nothing but the best, but it's just time to move on. I don't think the Giants move on right away. I think he still has playing time. And he is the best quarterback on the roster for us at the moment, right? I think the guy I would give a shot is Tommy DeVito. I'm not a big believer in Drew Lock. And I think the Giants give him until Thanksgiving. I think that's the time. If he's not doing well, they're going to pull the plug on him and let either Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito shine. On the defense looked great. Dexter Lawrence, best defensive player in the league. I think he is a force to be reckoned with. Leads the league in sacks. Best defensive tackle right now in football. Has 9 sacks on the year. And, he's a menace. He's a menace. That's one bright spot. That's one bright spot with the Giants. Brian Burns, he looked good. He was a little banged up. He's been dealing with a groin injury the past few weeks, but, you could tell he makes an impact. So that was a good move by Joe Schoen. I like Brian Burns. And Ojulari looked good as well. He's been stepping up for Kayvon and creating sacks. But what's bad with this defense is the secondary. Deonte Banks, the lack of effort he's been showing the last few weeks is concerning. Our secondary is, bit by the injury bug right now. And, we didn't have Adoree Jackson. Cordell Flock got hurt in this game. And then our safeties, Tyler Nubin, he's a rookie. It's going to take some time for him to adjust to the NFL world. I get that. And Jason Pinnock, he's just an older veteran type guy. So, our secondary is not the greatest, and that is our weakness right now because that's how they're breaking off on all these big runs. And other than Bobby Okereke, our linebacker core is shit. We don't have good linebackers. Michael McFadden, he's all right. But, yeah, I would say the best part of our defense is that D-line, and they still need time to rebuild that defense. And, you could say Joe Schoen. Yeah. You could say Joe Schoen, he looked like an idiot. Get rid of Saquon. But I wanted to ask you this question. If you think we had Saquon Barkley in that game, do we win that game?
I think your odds of winning go up, honestly. You probably would win that game.
You think we win that game with the addition of Saquon in that offense?
It's tough. It's tough to say. I think we would have a hard time with him.
Because what I question is, us not even running the ball in the first half. I think we ran it 4 times. And I don't know if that's lacking trust of the O-line, how bad the O-line was blocking that game, or they just didn't believe in Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary there. I think it's the O-line versus that D-line. That D-line was getting after us, right? I feel like Saquon wouldn't have done anything. I believe in his first 6 years with the Giants, Saquon, right?
Yeah.
I think he's only won, 1, maybe 2 games against the Eagles? So how much of an impact has he been against the Eagles, the Cowboys, all these teams? I'm not going to say it's his fault, but just having him there, is it going to make a difference for us? And that's why we decided to move off of him.
Well, here's the thing. You know this too. They're going to stack the box. They're going to play Saquon. Even if you still had him, I think they would still stack the box. But at least now, where Joe Schoen looks bad is I thought you were going to give Daniel Jones every resource to prove it. And taking away Saquon hurts that chance to prove that Daniel Jones can play, right? It was about bringing people in to help Daniel Jones see if he's the guy. Getting rid of him doesn't help that. Plus, wouldn't you like to have Saquon and Neighbors on your offense? And you could probably have still swung that Brian Burns train anyway. So, so in that retrospect, it looks bad for Shane. It really does, and there's still a lot of holes that need to be made. And I don't know if Shane's going to last after that. You heard John Mara in the clip this offseason. He loves him. He didn't want him to go to Philadelphia. That ended up happening. So I don't know. I don't know if he's on thin ice. I think it is him. I think Dable's job's safe for now. I don't see him really going anywhere unless they look really, really bad down the stretch. Maybe. It's too early to tell, but Shane's job's looking kind of shaky. Do you agree with that?
I don't know. I feel like you got to let it play out again because you didn't let Shane draft and Dable draft their franchise quarterback. I feel like the reason they re-signed Daniel Jones was not because of Shane. I feel like it was more on Mara making that happen as well. I feel like Mara wanted Jones to stay and be that franchise guy so that he hasn't been given, like all the resources to go out there and win these games. And, we haven't given him the foundation. So I feel like if Shane gets one more opportunity, I feel like he deserves it. I know the Saquon situation. What I would have done if I was Joe Shane, I would have told Saquon, hey, last season, hey, we love you as a person, as a team player, leader in our locker room, but we got to part ways. And we want to trade you. And what I would have done is I would have fielded calls and see what teams are interested in possibly acquiring Saquon, right? And then hear them out, see if they want to give him a long-term extension, and let him pick from those teams. If Saquon was on the Texans right now, right, this wouldn't look that bad. This wouldn't look that bad because he's not on the division rival with the Eagles and all that. If he was on the Texans, John Mara would have been fine. But now that we have to see him twice a year, that's the reason behind all this backlash. Oh, you let him go, you let him walk, you were nice with him, and let him walk to Philadelphia. What I would have done is I would have fielded calls and traded the man, got some value in return, because he's a special player. We can all agree on that. And trade him to a team that he wanted to go to and not take the best offer if you want to do right by him. That's what I would have done. Because now we got nothing in return for him. We have to watch him in the Philly green, play against him twice a year, and now we're getting all this backlash because he's on the Eagles. If we would have got something in return, we drafted Tyrone Tracy. He looks like he could be a stud. Devin Singletary, he's an average guy, but he could produce. He's productive. So that's why I think Joe Shane's getting all this backlash just because he's on the Eagles and we have to play him twice a year. Like our offensive line, everyone's going to shit on after this game. It allowed 8 sacks. I don't blame the whole game on the offensive line.
And our D-line's not that good. It's really not.
I agree with that. But I don't blame the whole game on the O-line. I blame it on Daniel Jones with the coverage sacks, just not finding the right guy. I don't think the O-line allowed all these sacks. Yes, we were without Andrew Thomas there, but I do not blame the O-line for all these sacks. They've been playing good all year, right? So it's hard to blame Shane for everything. It's just not good timing right now. But I would have done is, traded Saquon at the trade deadline, got value for him, and then we wouldn't have to be in a situation of watching him with the Eagles and playing us twice a year and all this backlash. So that's where I stand on the situation. And, I just want to hear your thoughts about that.
I get what you're saying. Optically, that would look better. But the guy, Saquon, came out and said he wanted to be a Giant for life. And for me, they weren't thinking about trading him during the season. It was after the season. He wanted this X amount of money. But honestly, I feel like he was such a team player that if you met him Like if you were like $1 million off or $2 million off, you probably would have taken your deal. But I think there was too much of
We
a
were,
disparity there
yeah, that's too
that
much.
it's like, dude, we're paying him what, 13, 14 million, I think. If you gave him over 10, if you gave him like 11 or 12, he would have stayed. He wouldn't have came here. He wanted to be a Giant. He wanted to be there. So it's like you could get him for cheaper. You could have still got Brian Burns. You just would be a more respectable, better, well-rounded team. And now you would have Brian Dable calling the plays. It will help Daniel Jones because, like, man, we got this talented rookie receiver on the outside, but we also got this top 5 running back we got to deal with too. So, yeah, if they stack the box, well, it means more. It means it's going to be easier for Jones to get the ball to Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson and those guys. So it didn't make much sense when you're still trying to figure out. You keep bringing up the contract. You're out after this year. Don't you want to maximize this last year to see if he can pull you guys maybe to a wild card or something with Saquon and Malik versus just Malik? Like you had a talented running back, but now you lose that, and now you finally get your talented receiver. So it's like you can't have both when it was right there too. That's my
Yeah.
problem with it. That's where it looks bad. Dating
See,
back to when they started to pay Jones over him too.
yeah, that's where it all started. That's where I have a disagreement as well. I would have paid Saquon over Daniel Jones.
Mm-hmm.
It was just much more of an impact to your team, more valuable. But you do make a good point there.
He was the guy that brought people when you guys were really bad. He was the reason why fans came
Oh
too.
yeah, he
So
put butts in the seat.
from the business side, if you still had him, jersey sales, ticket sales, people would still want to go and see him. So from a money business standpoint, yeah, pay him. And wait, we don't have to pay him what Philly's offering or Houston's offering. We could get him for a couple million less. He's willing to do that. It just makes it seem like a no-brainer to do that too.
Yeah.
And then it'll be a couple years. So let's say Daniel Jones didn't work out. You move on from him. You probably would get a rookie and then see if he can do it. Or maybe you're like, okay, let's go all in free agency. Let's bring in proven kind of like veteran guy. I don't know who that would be, but you have a number of ways you could pivot at the quarterback position. But you also have, like you said, secondary you need some work on. You need safeties. You need another linebacker. Your corners are subpar. So, yeah, I get it. You're multiple pieces away from contending for a Super Bowl. I get that point.
Yeah.
But having Saquon there is one less piece you have to worry about. I get it. Tracy has potential. He did not play well Sunday as well as Devin Singletary. And, yeah, and Saquon is in a whole different league, and you could have still had him for less amount of money. It just makes it look really bad.
Yeah.
Than what we're paying.
It's just unfortunate with how everything's unfolded. But yeah, the Giants have to find a way to, move on from here and try and win against the Steelers on Monday night.
If you thought our D line was fantastic, you have to deal with Cam Hayward, TJ Watt. You have to deal with the best defensive player in football, Alex Heisman.
No, don't worry.
And
I'll give you
Cam
a
Hayward.
sneak peek of the picks. They're not going to win. They're not going to win.
With Mike Tomlin calling that defense too.
Yeah, it's washed. But yeah, I don't know where you go from here. It's just tough because 2 weeks ago, the Giants beat the Seahawks at Seattle, and everything was looking up. Daniel Jones had a good game, right? But that's the thing with Daniel Jones. It's a roller coaster. He has a good week. He's a piece of shit. He might have a good week. Piece of shit. So that's the thing. It's like it's the Daniel Jones experience. We know what he is. It's been 6 years. It's time to move on.
It's lasted like 3 years too long, in my opinion.
Yeah. Because look at his primetime record. And that's another thing. Every time we play a primetime game, it's like we're never favored because we play a team that's so much higher caliber than us. So that's why his record sucks. Well, I don't know what we're going to do. I would move off of Jones and just find a way to get your own quarterback and draft. And
It's like
Could sign a veteran
With Matt
this
Stafford in
offseason.
Detroit, with like Matt Stafford in Detroit. The thing is with him, the team wasn't bad, but that guy was a pretty good quarterback. It's just with him, he's a bad quarterback with a bad team.
Yeah.
So I'll
Mhm.
leave that there.
Yeah. So if you guys want to see more content, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if new. We would really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed, all our Eagles Giants recap and recapping the rest of the week here. But yeah, any final words before we end off this episode, Justin?
No, beautiful people, have a great evening, have a great day, and I'll see you, man.
All right, we can end it off there.
Yes.
Benchwire
Out.